It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure this morning to introduce one of our own, Oforka. Oforka lives in Biua. Did I pronounce that close to being right?
Very correct.
I had to look that up on the internet, how to pronounce it. But he lives in Biua, which is in southwest Cameroon. I also had to look that up. I'm going to just take a minute. So for those of us who didn't know, I didn't know exactly where Cameroon was. It's in Western Central Africa, where the little red circle is. And so this is just a bigger shot of Cameroon next to Nigeria and the Congo, Gabon. And Oforka lives in the southwest region. His town is the capital of the southwest region of Cameroon. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to unshare my screen. Well, maybe I will say also that Oforka is a software engineer, actually a cloud engineer. And we're also going to find out that he has a whole other side to his life that has little, if anything, to do with his professional career. And I'm looking forward to hearing this presentation. So over to you, Oforka.
I didn't prepare much. I have it in my desktop computer, but since I do not have light, I'll just share what I have to share for today. So let me have share. Okay.
Oforka was explaining that the power went off as a result of a storm, and he had trouble even recharging his computer. So I don't think we're going to have a slide presentation because of the electrical power issues.
Yeah, so I was just busy. Can you guys see my screen? Okay, so I was just busy trying to create one today, but I think most of the talking I'll do it maybe with just some talking like this. So like I said, thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here with you people. And when I learned about the Rotary Club, I saw it online, but I have first of all hear about it, and because of my uncle, which is of late now, from my mother's side, he used to have an organization running on a Rotary, but I live far away from him, so I didn't know much. So when I came online on LinkedIn, because that's my favorite channel, social media channel. So I saw this particular advert. Was it an advert or a post? It was through Marie's timeline that I saw it. So I decided to join. And when I joined, I registered online, and then I went again to start reading about Rotary. So in a nutshell, I'm happy to be here with everybody and to share my little story. Like I said, my name is Oforka Anslem. I was born on the 12th of April, 1982. And I'm coming from a family of 16 children. My father had 4 wives, and I'm the second child in these 16 children. And growing up has been a serious challenge for me, like seriously. I finished my elementary education back in the village in Munyenge, where it's not like 4 hours drive from here. So from Boya, where I am, that's where I finished my elementary school. So I enrolled into secondary school. That was in 1997. And I stayed just 2 years in 1997, and I could not cope because my father didn't have the money to pursue me, to see me in school. And I was schooling here in Boya here, but I was like covering a kilometer of maybe approximately 5 kilometers to go to school. on foot. So every morning, so it was challenging. And sometimes I don't even have, because my uncle too, from my father's side, that was my father's younger brother, was still trying on his own. So I could not have maybe 3 square meals a day and stuff like that. It was difficult. So I struggled year one, year two in a secondary school. And when I came back home, I told my father that it's very difficult. If there's a way that I could get a place closer to the school, and he said that there's no way. And my uncle too need to look for better ways to perform to live. So he has to travel to the capital, Yaoundé. So from that moment, I don't have anything to do that to return back home. So I returned back home. I stayed in the house for 2 years without having any formal education in secondary school. Then I came back in the city where one of my friends told me that, hey, you can come and live with us. So I came back to Boya and attended secondary school till I get to Form 4. That is my 4th year in secondary school. There was no way that I could even continue. So I told my father that I want to study computers. I think school is very challenging for me. It's difficult, so I should study computer. How did the computer stuff came about? When I was in the town here, sometimes we usually watch TV in our friend's house. They were the ones that have TV, so not everybody is entitled to TV back then. So I usually see, when I see people are like chasing someone and they are looking through computers and they say, hey, he has gone that way, that way, that way, and stuff like that, giving directions, and people are manipulating computers. That's how I became in love with it. So I told my father that, hey, I don't only want to learn it, I want to know how to repair the machines that they are using to finding people. That was just my naive knowledge that I had at that time. So my father said he does not have money to send me to school. So I have to leave that place and went to Bamenda. So I left the Southwest, went to Bamenda, met my uncle. My uncle said, okay, his friend is having a computer center where they train people, so I can go there. That was in 2002. I went there, studied, and I came out with a very good grade compared to the others. I was like this, the smallest. Everybody was like big parents, big guys. And when I appeared in that school, the teacher, the instructor, the person who have the school say, hey, you are too small, you cannot learn anything. And he asked, what's your level of education? Do you have ordinary level? I said, no. He said, no, we cannot accept you. And I said, try me. Why you cannot accept me? He said, you cannot read, you cannot write. I said, no, I can read and write. He said, okay, let me test you. So he removed a book and he was reading from that book and I was writing. So after we make about maybe 20 words and he asked me to give him the material. I gave him, he read it and he said, hey, that's great. Why didn't you go to school? My uncle said, just give him what he wants. So it's all right. So you can start studying. So that's how I started studying there. And I'm not even talking about the side of my mother. When my father got married to the second wife, my mother left the house. So my mother was the first wife. He gave birth to 4 of us. Then my father got the second wife and my mother could not take it. So my mother left the house when I was just 5 years old. So I've been living with my stepmother and my father. And my mother took my elder sister and my elder sister stayed with me because the first child in my family, in our family is my elder sister. I'm the second. So my mother took my 2 siblings and left. Then I stayed behind with my elder sister. So back in Bamenda, I struggled to learn until finish in 2003. And this same school gave me a job. They saw how resilient I was and how hardworking and punctual that I was. So the man said, hey, this boy is very good. I want this boy to stay beside me. So I stayed there and I was working. He was giving me some money. And in 2005, my mother fell sick. I have to come back to Southwest. So my mother was not living with my father. He was living in my 16 here near Boya. So I have to come back to Southwest. So I lived in Southwest with my mother. When I came, I was doing computer repairs in one repairs place. There I was making a little bit of money and I was taking care of my mother through the illness. To cut a long story short, it was after 8 years that my mother had been sick. After 8 years that we went to the hospital and the doctor said, if your mother stays 2 days, she's going to die. That we have realized that he has a serious cardiac problem. And I have to take him to Bamenda, the only hospital in Cameroon then, it's a mission hospital in Cameroon then that does anything concerns a heart or whatsoever cardiac issue. So I have to carry her to Bamenda. We went there. I went there with about 600,000. That is equivalent to $1,000 now. In a matter of 30 minutes, it finished. So they have to put it inside the machine. And the doctor came out and told me that we have to fly your mother to Italy, that they will need to perform heart surgery. And I was like, how much? 15 million. 15 million back then was like $30,000. I said, why am I going to have 15 million? I don't really have 15 million. Is there anything that we can do? They said we can only place your mother on drugs, but that's what we can do. I agreed to it. So every month, he will be leaving Southwest here to Bermuda. That will cost me like about $500 every month, $500 every month. Actually, back then, I was making some money, from my computer repairs and stuff like that. It wasn't popular, so I was making some money. So I have to take care of my mother for the next 5 years on treatment. So apparently, most of my investment went through my mother, and I'm happy for it. I don't regret it one bit because I have to keep her going for the next 5 years. So in 2013, my mother died. And before then, I have been longing to go to school because I was seeing myself that now I have started making some money. I can now pursue myself in education. But when looking at my mother, that I have to take control on certain things and take care of her, I could not. So when she died, it became as a kind of relief for me. So I decided to go back to school so I could really have education. So here we have what is known as evening school. So the evening school is for people who maybe they are busy during the day and they still want to go to school, so they can now go to school in the evening. So I registered in the evening school in 2013. So that was in Form 4 when I left the secondary school. So I went back and I started at that particular point. And in 2014, I wrote the ordinary level and I passed with 9 papers, which was great. I was so happy. So normally to go to high school to write the final exam into the university, you have to make 2 years in high school. But I was very determined. I could not wait. So I took it just for 1 year. So in 2015, I wrote the advanced level and I made it. So I went into the university. That was in 2015, and I did management. I graduated in a BS in management in 2018, and I enrolled again in a master's degree. And in 2021, I graduated with a master's degree of business management. So after that, I said, okay, now I have acquired knowledge. What do I really want? Management, whatsoever, blah, blah, blah. What area do I really need to focus? My focus is technology. So I now started to study the cloud and networking. So I did that for 2021, 2022, finished. And a friend of mine directed me this was a recommendation from an IT school based in US, Florida. They call it Go Cloud Careers. So the whole 2022, I was working with them as instructor to teach cloud network. So when they get me into interview, they saw that I was really good in it. So they said, okay, they have to enroll me. So I was teaching there, helping to teach because an online school is teaching there as well. So my contract terminated because they just told me that they want to close the engineering program. They want to focus with the cloud architect program. So my service will not be needed. So my contract ended last month. So in what do I really want in life and what really keeps me driving is the aspect of giving back to my community. That's really what keeps me going. The aspect of giving back to my community. So many children, during the 2016, the outbreak of the Anglophone crisis in 2016, I was back then in Boya in the university in my BSc degree. It was through resilience that I refused because many students dropped out of school there. It was like, hey, there will be no school and stuff like that. Too much gunfire and stuff like that, but we persist that we have to. Some of us say we need to go to school, so it's very important. So a population of about 22,000, you cannot find up to 2,000 students in the campus. So we persisted, I tried, struggled, I finished. Now, I look upon myself from 2019 when I was doing my master's degree, and I said, now schools are not going on. There are some people, some children that are facing the same route that I took, coming from the same background like mine, and who do not have this possibility to even get to the level of which I am today. So the only thing I could do in my own capacity is to ensure that I try by all what I can do to ensure that some children can go to school. So I decided now in my country, the way it was, you cannot just start anything like that. So you need to at least register it so the authority knows that that is exactly what you're doing. So that was make me now to create the Center for Youth and Sustainable Development that we are seeing. And my primary focus was on education because without education, I wouldn't have been where I am today. Maybe I would have been a farmer, maybe having more than 9 children or following the path of my father, but I really detest that path of having many wives and many children. So I do not like it. So I took upon myself, okay, let me help in my own little way. So I created this institution. It is in Munyenge. Let me show you exactly where I am. I think you can see the Google map, right? So if I bring it here, this is Bafia, and this is Munyenge, where you can see
we cannot see a map. We can see your slide that says giving back.
Okay, let me see. Wow. I think I have to go back to the presentation. Can you see now?
The slide we see says giving back to the Community Center for Youth and Sustainable Development.
Okay, let me see. Okay, maybe I did not share the entire. Okay. All right. You can see now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is where Munyenge is. If you can see it from this is Munyenge. If you look at this school, it says that temporary closed. This is a government primary school. It says temporary closed. The whole of this region, as you see it like this, is completely burnt down. Like No single houses is here. This is my community. And due to the crisis, this section like this is burnt down. Now, before getting to Munyenge, you have this place. Let me show you. This is a road to Moyuka. Let me draw it a bit and I get you that. All right. Look at this section, this house. Let me bring this. This is a quarter. This one is inside a bush here like this. They call it Likoko. So all of this area like this where people used to live has been erased by the military. The military have burnt all the villages down. Now, the only village that was not burnt is this small one like this. It's a remote area, but the military cannot get here because you have to pass through inside forest, and they are afraid of the separatist fighters, so they could not get here. So all of these bushes like this, you see, you find people, this is a very dense forest. That's where people are living now. That's where people are living now. So since 2016 to date, there are some children that have not gotten elementary education since the outbreak of this crisis. They haven't gotten any education, formal education in the primary section. So upon that, I took upon myself that no, we cannot just allow these kids to stay in a house like that. We have to ensure that we give them basic education. That's when I now move into creating this primary school. Is my slide still there? All right. So that's when I move in now to create this primary school where we have these children. Now, these children there are people who have money to send their kids to cities like Boya to rent house here. House rent here is something else. To pay house here, and maybe they can keep their wives here, and their wife is seeing their children through schools. But now, there are parents who don't have that money to come to send their children to big cities where the crisis is not there. And so these parents don't have any choice than to keep their kids in those bushes without having any means of education. And this was a very sad story for me. So the only thing I could do was to go there and create this community school. And the community school has been going on for the past 1 year now. And this is the second year that is going operational. And this is the classroom. You can see the children in the classroom. So there you can't put on uniform. Then this photo is for those children that these are adults, these are high school students. Now they were schooling in the Munyenge big village. There was a government secondary schools there, but because this village, that section was erased down by the military, no schools. These children now, some of them have to come back to the city. So when they come to the city, this particular group that you see like this, there are some of those parents that they were schooling there. Now they have come to Boya. Some of them don't even they have where to stay. They don't even have school fees that they can pay. So I was the one that I was lobbying in other secondary school to see how they can admit these young girls and boys that you see them on this particular photo like this. So I lobby with some proprietors, give them situation how it is, and some of these children, you see them like this, these girls, they are in the university right now having their education. So we still do that with our local community to see how we can foster them. Then these are young ones that just left the primary school in 2016. They were supposed to enter into secondary school, but their parents cannot afford them to go to school. They don't have that school fees. So when I went back there, I told these people, the parents, that you can send these children to Boya. All I need is that just get somewhere that they can stay. If you get somewhere that they can stay, I have some of my friends that are technicians. I have some of my friends that are builders. I can see how we can get these children trained. So you see these young guys here like this, they are learning laptop repairs, phone repairs in this particular shop that my friend is having. And I usually go there sometimes to carry on repairs of laptops. So that's my friend. They call him Mali. So he is the one that is giving these children training. Then I have another friend, they call him Norbert, for the building and construction. This is an uncompleted building. It's a scrap building that we are using to train some of the children here too. These are all IDPs that they were there in the village, and due to the crisis, and the boys were the targets for the military. If you are a guy above 18 years, the probability for you getting shot by the military is 0.0999. So it's very, very, very close for you to be shot. So some of them move to the city. They are there, not doing anything. I have to gather them and allow them to make a trade. So they are learning building and construction. So in my website, if you go there, you can get some of the story from the website. And I also carry out humanitarian aspect in terms of giving some foodstuffs to the IDPs. Some of them that they have run and come here in Boya, they don't really have where to eat, what to eat. So I give them some humanitarian, maybe mattress. Those who come, they don't have bed to sleep. We can make purchase of mattress and other food items to ensure that these people go. Now, what keep me going to have some little money is we dive into agriculture with one of my friend. One of my friend, this is him right here. So we do this tomato cultivation. We cultivate tomatoes and we sell them. So it really gives us money to ensure that we can carry on with some expenses. This is us within the tomato farm, ensuring that we add soil to the tomato to have a better produce. During this harvesting, we cultivated 2 hectares of tomatoes farm, and we removed about 2,300 baskets of tomatoes. And this really helped us a lot to cover some of the expenses like the IDPs that are here, their school, their tuition fee and the rest. So that's exactly what I am doing. And like Rotary said, we are there to serve our community in the way that we can do best. What is the essence of living in this world if you cannot send a helping hand to remove someone from where you think the person is not having a better life than to stay, like have the money, keep the money within yourself, and someone is dying, someone is in need of something, and you cannot extend your hand, then what are we then living for? So it's like a story that when I was teaching an online English course with Japanese students, one man, it's a big man, about 60 years, asked me a question that if you have the possibility to come back to this world the second time, who do you really want to be? Or if you have the ability to change yourself into somebody, who do you really want to be? I told the person that I want to be me. He said, really? I said, yes. He said, why? I said, because if everyone was like me, we will not have any wars. The world is big enough for us to live in and live in harmony. You know, there is no need to acquire wealth that you cannot even spend. And when you die, you will take note of that. So the global warming, the hunger, and whatsoever that people are striving in this world, we are the one that created it, and it's because of greed that makes people the world it is today. All the fighting here, wars here and here, territorial boundaries and whatsoever. Those are just fictitious things that, I don't know, ego, wickedness, love. We don't have love for one another. We decide to take gun and kill each other. You and I, black and white, we have the same blood flowing in our veins. You know, there is no definition of the superior being. All of us are supposed to be superior. If it's the up portion of all of us being down there, all of us should go down there. We should be one of our brother's keepers. So that's my philosophy. I believe in sharing. And thank you so much for listening. And it was great to have you.
Thank you, Oforka.